45 seconds, just in case. Oh, do you want to just go?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, this is CPD coaching training stuff me and Justin have been working on with Martin. Now, to begin with, what we're focusing on is managing workload, but also planning for lessons, literally quite open-ended at the beginning. So what we did to begin with is sit down and go through all the sorts of possible tasks that teachers do and start prioritising which ones are the most important down to the least important. But again, very open-ended, just coming up with ideas and thinking about what really takes up our time, what do we struggle to get done, and then even just coming up with ideas for possible things that we could do around this. Again, it was very open at this stage, but I really enjoyed this because we got to be creative. We got to come up with possible little ideas or quirky little things that we could do before actually moving into, okay, what we're going to focus on, what areas. But the whole time, the crux behind it was, how is this going to help us? How is this going to be effective with what we're doing to make us better, or make it more streamlined, or make it more efficient? So some of the little ideas we came up with to begin with is things like, even on the whiteboards we've got, how it could be divided up to cover certain aspects of the lesson. Lead learners is a big one we were looking into, but also things like the tasks you do, how many tasks you could efficiently do at once, and even a weekly planner sheet where you could plan your entire week, not just your lessons, but every other little duty that goes with it as well. Right, one of the first areas we went into was the weekly planner. Now this is one I use. It's on my desk, it's an A4 sheet. It literally just gets stuck to the desk for each week, and what I have on it is everything that I need to cover. So in terms of students across my curriculum area, all the different students and what interventions are going on, the students I have to chase up for the detentions, just in case, so I can oversee and make sure everyone's getting those done. My shopping list to make sure what I'm getting from Tesco's for the kids is all sorted out. The practicals, again, because it's not just the lesson that I'm delivering there, it's all the setup and getting everything arranged for those as well. The homework, so I can keep on top of which groups have which homework's set and what's coming in. The homework reminder, of course, because it's got to go on the website as well to make sure that's all done. And even the assessment and making sure that's got done. And that is literally just stuck on the desk, tear the old one off and go on to the new one. But then I know every week I'm getting all these basic things done because it's all down there and I can just tick it off or cross it out. So that was an early area we looked at. But again, that was quite a quick and easy one to do. So it was, okay, that's done, that's efficient, that works. And then on to the next thing. The next one we looked at was just simply the timetable. And the timetable people were given, it has your lessons on with some details. So we just looked at going a bit overboard with the timetable. How could we experiment a bit with everything else that we could have on there? So for instance, things like the duties. These are my different duties on the days. These are, I'll get to this in more detail later, but the lead learner practicals. I have lead learners that help set up my big practical lessons in the morning. They come to me just before tutor time. But also other stuff like designated marking times, meeting times, certain lessons when there's particular EAL students, like I have Zhao Shong in that lesson, I have a Polish lad Raphael in that lesson. Okay, so it's just more information on there. This is my computer room lesson that I have there, and then I've got my line meeting, but just adding more on there, so at one glance or one timetable you've got everything to hand to inform you of what you need, just to help out even further, as opposed to having your timetable there, other bits over here, and having to look in different areas. Again, that didn't take too long, and it was a similar one that me and Justin could use, because again, with the duties, the marking times. The key thing we did look at though was the marking. Having a set time for your marking on your timetable found really effective. And we did quite a bit of research with that. I'd asked, say, Michelle, she does most of her marking on a Friday late here at school. And I wondered why, but that is because she gets a quiet period where she's not interrupted, and so she's here often one of the latest on the Friday because she knows she's got that designated time for marking. Other people, however, it might be, say, in an evening. Other people, they might find it easier to mark in the mornings, but it's more personal with that, we found, But having a designated marking time on your timetable really helped make sure that you had that time set aside to get it done. Okay, on from the timetable. One of the best things I have to help me with my job is my use of lead learners, but not just in the lesson, it's outside of the lesson, everything they do to help and support me. I have a team of students who are very effective, that they know the room and they know what goes on a week-by-week basis. Now, what I do offer them, when they get to school in the morning, quite early, some of them, like about 8 o'clock, they can come to my room, they can relax there, the heaters are on, but they also have jobs to do for me, which all involve setting up the lesson, setting up the practical, getting the ovens on, getting the water, the pans of boiling water ready, and all sorts of things like that. They're very committed and very keen and very helpful, but I wouldn't be able to get that done so well without their support before the lessons even begin. So what we did is look at these, how far you can go with the lead learners, and also for Justin, it was something he hadn't embraced so much before at all, is what they could actually be doing in his lesson to help support him, but also the actual planning for them as well. I mean, it's not just giving them odd jobs to do. If you really think about what they're going to do, these are some of the things we came up with as just ideas for certain things that I'm sure everyone's familiar with, things like using exempt for work and stuff, and the peer support for others, but there really is a lot more that the students are willing to do, just to be involved and to be helpful and to be engaged, and it is stuff they can do outside of the lesson as well as in the lesson as well. So even on the lesson plan, we looked at having lead learner spaces on there, so just to make it even more effective, thinking about every sort of area. So with the assessment, what could the lead learners be doing that could be that bit extra? In terms of the differentiation and extension, you do still have to cater for the more able, but also with the lead learners, what other things could they be doing? And even breaking the lesson up, so the start of the teacher or student-led bits. I mean, I'd quite often have these lead learners doing demonstrations to the class, mini demonstrations for me, as well as doing bits of assessment, because in some of my lessons it's very manic with everyone doing all different things, and it's very easy to use these people to assist with some of the teaching duties as well. So we looked at ways of actually having it in the timetable, so really planning the maximum use of these students in the class.
What years do you have lead learners for?
It's a Year 9 group that's gone through, so I've known them since Year 7, Year 8, Year 9, Eddie Schimmel, Emily Smith and others, but Mia Evans is the other one as well. But there's a team of them, they're all friends, but they will do anything helpful, and they're just really involved and always offering their services for getting over. Even when we do big events like the bake-off and stuff, they're the first ones to, oh, can we help, can we do this, can we do that? It's just great to have students like that just want that extra responsibility and are so willing and keen to do things like that. So, thank you. Sorry, that was a previous bit on the question bit. And then on the observations we've been doing, so for mine, I was showing things like I did a pasta bake practical, but all the different bits that the lead learners were doing. So these are some of the bits they actually get all out ready out of the cupboard and help me assist with, as well as in the actual lessons. I mean, even having all the hobs lit ready and the pans boiling with water, that is such a big saving in terms of time for me. When the kids arrive and they need to cook their pasta, there's the water set up and ready for them. Okay, so it really does help streamline the lesson and focus on the actual teaching. Now Justin was looking into ways he could do it as well, but he did some little bits like the model essay by the lead learner, and having them, even like the simple tasks, handing out the books and having one reading, doing one-to-one and reading a book to another. He still wants to do quite a bit more on this, because I think he feels there's a lot more potential to it, as opposed to having them just as, say, a more able student where you give them odd bits to do in the lesson. So it is an area we're going to focus on a bit more. I mean, ideally, it'd be good for him to get his own little team together as well, and maybe they'd be similar in English. They'd be like the English supporters that would help all the teachers there with certain things that go on there as well. Yeah, and that's where we're at the moment. Again, it's where we go next with it. I mean, we're keen to keep going with the lead learners, but at the same time, as you can see from the previous things with the timetable, and the weekly planner is once we get to a stage, I'm very keen for us to go back to take another idea and see where we go with that, because we want it to be effective, we want it to help us be more efficient, but at the same time we want to cover as much ground as possible and look at all the different areas. But what's been great is just being creative with it, coming up with the ideas, and at the end of the day it's, okay, this is going to help me because I'm looking at my own practice and what I can do better and what I can plan more effectively and what I can do more effectively. But I say one of the great things was going about finding out when people mark and which people had which times they marked to be the most effective. And I thought there would be one sort of time we could settle on, but no, everyone's different. Everyone's got their different work, their life, everything. But we did find if you have a designated spot on your timetable where you have that time where you know you're going to sit down and mark, you're much more effective at getting it done. But yeah, so next time we'll be going back, having a meeting, and we'll be mind mapping some more ideas where we go next. It might be a case where we pursue the lead learners bit a bit further, because I think Justin, he did really embrace that, and it is going to be something that he could use even more, because he lightly touched on it in the lesson. I think just a bit further he can use them. Also then we'll look back at the ideas we did at the start and where we could go next with it all. That's where we're at so far, guys.
Thank you.
Now, one of the things Mathieu has shared at a 15-minute forum, the use of, we call them in languages, he calls it something